Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to this week's Planets and Predictions show. I am Dallisa Hocking, fifth generation psychic medium. I love doing this show. It's a brand new weekly that we do 3 p.m. Pacific on Tuesday, 6 p.m. Eastern. And I'm joined by an awesome astrologer. Each week it's a little bit different, and today is no exception. We've got Celeste Brooks, who will be joining me here in just a moment. Celeste and I have gone live on Instagram so many times together. She's awesome. I know many of you are going to be familiar with her work. She does a lot of predictive astrology. And so we're going to be talking about what's going on right now astrologically, the full moon that's coming up. We're going to go like rapid fire through some big headlines that are happening in the world. And I'm going to ask Celeste how those headlines correspond or relate to the current astrology, because I find astrology to be absolutely fascinating and really scarily accurate, because you can look at the astrology and the transits, the movement the planets are making through the sky, and you can correlate it to world events, things happening in your own life, your own relationship, your job, your money. So astrology is awesome. So I'm excited to talk to Celeste here in just a moment. Just want to say hello to everybody who's tuning in live today. I see all of your little baubles coming into the jar. So if you have not watched Planets and Predictions, the weekly show before, and you're like, what is this jar on the screen? If you are here and you have commented on the live stream, your bauble will go inside of that jar. At the end of today's show, I will pull a winner, and the winner will get a personalized 12-month tarot card report from me. I will shuffle my cards, I will pull them for you. And so make sure you've commented so that your bauble goes inside of that jar. And if you have any friends or family members that you think would be into this kind of stuff, send them the link, have them come over and join us today. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and bring Celeste Brooks on the screen here. So, 3, 2, 1. Hi.
Hi, Dallisa. I muted myself again, and you like automatically unmuted me. I meant to unmute myself.
It's
so great to be here with you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's fun to do it in this format because we've been doing the Instagram together, and I love doing it on Instagram. It's a lot of fun. But I also think doing our little giveaway and our bauble in our jar is also pretty cool. And it gets people on YouTube that maybe don't have an Instagram account, or people that don't have any other social media. At least they can watch this and participate with us. So one thing I love about your work is you get downloads, because I get downloads. We've talked about it before. And so anybody that does follow you on socials will see that you post these downloads that you get. And sometimes they're very straightforward. Sometimes they're a little bit more cryptic, which is how I get them as well. Just briefly, before we start getting into the astrology and the full moon, can you tell everybody who has never seen you before a little bit about yourself and how you found astrology?
Yes, I'd love to. Hi, everyone. I'm Celeste Brooks of Astrology by Celeste, an astrologer, coach, and teacher, and intuitive, and podcaster. I just keep adding to my titles. And my background is I spent over 28 years in corporate sales, marketing, and business development. I'm a Taurus sun, and as soon as Uranus went into the sign of Taurus, I started feeling this like, is this what I'm going to do for the rest of my life? I mean, like, I don't know about this. And I had always wanted to retire by 50 from the corporate world. I mean, I had a great career, but enough is enough. And it was just getting more and more and more stressful. And so I was like, And I wanted freedom. That's what Uranus is, a liberator. And it awakens us to things that could be different. And I had been studying astrology as just a hobby. But then people started asking me to pay me for readings. So anyway, it it just went on and on. I did all this education and decided to make a career change midstream, which you can see in my chart. I have Uranus at my IC, which can be someone who changes their careers. But yeah, and so in 2021, I said goodbye to the corporate life and became a full-time astrologer.
That's awesome. Yeah. And so anybody looking for Celeste work or socials, I'll just mention it here on the front end too. Astrologybyceleste.com has all of her information. So check her out there. Most of you know me, but maybe you found me through Celeste, but I'm a 5th generation psychic medium, and my work and all of my things are at spiritandspark.com. Michelle's asking a question here for you, Celeste.
About your explain my post a little bit? Okay. So sometimes what I'm doing, so I do these on threads, and what happened is I had like this, I've been doing the astrology for quite a while, but then I started getting these psychic downloads started coming in more clearly, and I was like writing stuff. It comes through when I'm writing, and then stuff started to happen like how I wrote it. But okay, so sometimes the downloads, I'm looking at a chart and I'm interpreting it like how it could come up. Like I did a post last night about, I was trying to see Pisces seasons. What are you going to be seeing from Pisces season? And one of the big things is the sun is squared and the moon at the new moon are squared Jupiter and Gemini. So Jupiter and Gemini, communicators and things like that. And the sun is the leader. So I'm seeing a tension because the sun in the square between celebrity type talkers and the administration. And that's how it came out. And I put it as like a lyrical revolutionary is how it came through to me. I was thinking about Kendrick Lamar. And then as I was writing, I started getting this story about Joe Scarborough and his wife, Mika. And like, oh, it started coming out. So we'll see how it shows up in the collective, but sometimes they're like that. And sometimes they're just like a song title will just keep coming to me, or just like a little phrase, like know your value is one of them that has been coming up, or something like that. So they come through in different ways. Sometimes they come through as a list of things. I have a South Node in Virgo, a list of phrases, songs, movies. Sometimes they come through as a story. Or like the transits. I'm talking about a transit and boom, like I predicted that airplane crash.
Yeah, we talked about that on Instagram. Yeah, we both were getting the same messages ahead of it happening. That was wild.
Yeah, but the one on Monday where it landed upside down.
Oh, the airplane, the Delta airplane?
Yes, I called it, and they'll have a title, like a snappy title. It was called Choppy Air Over Troubled Waters. And I was writing about the fact that the sun was moving from 29 degrees of Aquarius into Pisces. And whenever a planet's at 29 degrees, it's got all the energy of the sign and it's trying to express it in some way. And then there's a shift, and we're talking about a new story. So we go from 29 to 0. So 29 Aquarius, an air sign. And I was seeing kind of like a plane thing, but a lot of times they don't come how I said to see them, but then it's going from air to water. And Pluto is in Aquarius. Mars is in Cancer. So and Saturn's in Pisces. So there's this turbulent water energy. And we know that air is choppy too, with like all the astrology. So that's how I got that. But then I said, if stuff goes sideways, just know it's DEI's fault. Now, Uranus, the planet of Great Awakening, Sun breaks, is really prevalent this month because it was stationing, like at 1 degree, it was like just standing in the sky to go forward. So this whole month, it's shocks and awe, Uranian things. And Uranus spins on its side and backwards in the solar system, outer space. And so I think that's where I got sideways. It also rules reversals. And the plane was upside down. And it was a delta plane. A delta is a land thing that goes into water. And yeah, so that's where it came. It came in like really specifically. This is the North Node in Pisces. I think my psychic skills are getting sharper and sharper, I think.
Yeah, there's all kinds of downloads that myself, my students, I have psychic development students, tarot students, they're all getting a bunch more information, which is really cool. And Trina, I pulled a tarot card spread on this about when planes will stop crashing. I'll show that before the end of this live stream today after we talk about the astrology. So, Spirit's saying you're going to talk about it now. Okay, hold on.
I'm feeling talking about it now. Okay, this is a perfect segue because Aquarius is ruled by Uranus in the modern astrology, and Uranus rules aviation. And it's coming to and it's been dancing on this fixed star called Algol, which is the star of catastrophes. And we're seeing all of these airline catastrophes. It's at 26 Taurus. So Uranus is at like 23 right now. But through the rest of this, it's going to move into Gemini, but it's going through the valley of the shadow of air turbulence as it moves through this part of the zodiac.
So these are the cards I pulled. Yeah, so I think that issues with airplanes is going to continue. But I took this picture of some tarot cards from earlier today. I'd asked, are we going to see more airplane aviation issues in the next 60 days is what Spirit used as the reference point. So the way that I pull these cards is I've got a past card up at the top, which is the Three of Cups. And for me, that card is like celebrations, good times, get on the airplane. Where do we want to go? You know, kind of like a free bird energy. And that's not where we're at right now. So the very middle is the Eight of Swords there. And she is blindfolded. She is bound. She is not moving. So that indicates a lot of restrictions around aviation and what energy is coming to the forefront there. We have the Queen of Pentacles and the Queen of Swords on both sides of that energy. So that's telling me that there's going to be some rethinking and even potentially some money that goes into fixing some of these issues, or what are we going to do about these issues? And then we move into what's coming. This was interesting. We have three major arcana cards in the future column around planes and aviation and whether we're going to have issues. One is the Emperor. Usually, and I try to stay as neutral politically as I possibly can as to not alienate any one group. But the Emperor for me in the tarot deck is typically Donald Trump's energy. The Sun for me is illuminations and looking at aviation in a bigger way. And then the Fool is a card that can be associated with new beginnings and fresh starts. But the Fool, what you can't really see because we're not zoomed in close enough. But if you're familiar with tarot, this is this individual not paying attention and about ready to walk completely off of this cliff. So it's great new beginnings, but you might walk off the cliff. So that would tell me that there are more issues that are coming. But I do think off to the side, I pulled a couple of extra cards to get some more information. We have the Four of Wands and the Ace of Swords. And so for me, I feel like they're going to be able to sort it out eventually, but I think there's going to be a lot of back and forth and conversations and really figuring out how to get us out of that Eight of Swords that's there in the middle. But I'd love to hear your thoughts, Celeste, and anybody in the comments that you're looking at these cards or you're hearing what Spirit is bringing out of me as I channel the energy of these cards. Let us know in the comments what you're getting from the energy around aviation. So does anything come to mind for you? Yeah.
So the Emperor, the astrological connection to the Emperor is Mars. So yeah, so Mars rules accidents, and then and it's there's associations with the sign of Aries, and Saturn and Neptune are going into Aries. So that's very interesting. The sun is the sun and the fool is Uranus. And we're talking a lot about Uranus because Uranus rules aviation. And I'm getting with this, so the myth of Icarus. So Icarus was the one, his dad was an inventor, Daedalus, who created like the first airplane kind of back in Greek mythology in order to fly himself, Daedalus, and his son Icarus out of this prison they built for the Minotaur. And he told his son, do not get too close to the sun because there's beeswax that is holding these wings together. So you can think about planes being held together with tape. And if you get too close to the sun, it's dangerous. And what happened is he didn't listen. The beeswax melted and he crashed into the sea. And the new moon in Aquarius on the 29th of January was the day after that plane crash. And that was, please put it back up so I can keep letting it
yes.
sink in my brain. Was the day after. And that was exactly Icarus, almost that imagery of Icarus flying into the sun. And what happened was the helicopter flew into the plane. And it's really this, and I'm getting this as well for Elon Musk and whatnot. Like he's doing a lot where people are feeling like he's getting too close to the sun and he's going to have some kind of potential crash to Earth. But we had a plane crash. We've been having plane crash. I think there's quite possibly going to be more before the next new moon on February 27th, especially that last week. There could be something going on. Because Pluto's in Aquarius, there's been problems with these planes for years. And what Pluto does is bring things from the sun, what's been hidden underneath to our conscious attention with all this Boeing stuff. We're just at the beginning of this, where there is this energy of the aviation system is really broken down. They're not doing the inspection, like Boeing was like rushing things out or doing things fast because they're trying to maximize shareholder profits. And it's a real problem. Now, the new guy who in transportation says Elon Musk's SpaceX is going to upgrade our transportation system. So they're working together for this. So is that going to help with the problems? Or is there going to be something where they walk off a cliff and aren't thinking and don't do some switch and there's more problems? So that's what I'm getting from this, that the problems aren't over. And overconfidence, which can be a sun type figure, can be really overconfident, can lead to potential problems. Do you ever pull reverse cards or you always pull them upright?
I always do them upright.
Okay, so
yeah.
So it could be either or. The eight of swords, that's choppy air. That's choppy air. And that's a sense of like a little bit of imprisonment. One of the things I'm thinking with this new moon is are there going to be some people who are well known who it's for some reason are getting arrested or something. So we'll see if that comes up.
Oh my gosh. I think my cat Fraser agrees with you because you can't see him, but oh yes, you can. Look at him down here in the corner.
Yes.
There is a door stopper and he keeps flicking the door stopper. Oh, there he goes. He meowed and walked off. Okay, thank you.
Was that his signal that you're onto something?
It's like, pay attention. Oh my gosh. Yeah,
Yes.
there is a lot happening in this world.
Yeah, Peggy says, yeah, Peggy, he's looking towards the sun with too much confidence, is about to walk off the cliff or going
And
to
that would
walk the
represent
plank.
that
Yes.
Fool card. Yeah, crazy interesting. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay, so the astrology, I know we've blended it into what we've been talking about with the tarot cards, and you mentioned the energy that's coming up. I think you said the last week of this month, and pay attention to that.
Yes.
Is there anything else just about the current astrological vibe that you want to mention before we go into our news headlines?
Yes, I just want people to be aware there was a full moon last Wednesday, that squared Uranus, and we're still in this energy. So there's all these shocks and awe and unexpected things, and it can feel a little destabilizing. So just know that this is kind of the time we're in, and what we're meant to do with this time, because Mars is retrograde, and then Venus and Mercury, the personal planets, are going retrograde. As much as you can, slow down, get internal, be triple checking the stuff you're doing, because there's a lot of energy to be a little like scattered in your head and miss a step, and like literally you can go tumbling down on the ground if you miss a step and you're walking. But it can also be like, it can be other things. So that's what we're invited to do. There seems to be like a lot of confusion. The North Node moved into Pisces in January, and it's like people keep saying it feels like a movie. And I feel like we are in a movie. The North Node and Neptune are conjunct. And can we, as much as we can, not panic and watch this show? Because there may be some things that come to a quick culmination that shock us. It's like, what?
I totally agree. I have my Sacred Signals membership community. They're so awesome. But I've been talking about the references to the Truman Show movie and the Twilight Zone. And last Saturday, so a few days ago, I hosted a chat for the community on whether or not we live in a simulation. And so we got together, and some of the members were there live with me, and we're kind of going through our thinking with it, and how we reached that conclusion. I do a vote at the end of it. I'm like, okay, yes, if we're in a simulation, and no, we're not in one. And everyone voted yes, that we're in a simulation. And it could be that North Node Pisces energy as part of it. Is like, it's almost too unbelievable, where it's like a movie couldn't even create, or a TV show couldn't create this kind of plot line. And so it really does feel like we are not living a normal life right now.
Absolutely. You feel like if you turned on a movie and this was what was going on, you'd be like, this is so unrealistic. Let me turn this off. Because it's like, it's crazy making. We're going to war with Canada? What? What are you talking about? That, I don't think that was on anybody's bingo card. Tariffs on Canada. And Greenland back. Greenland. We want Greenland.
Extra. Like, the energy is extra. I know people have been, I know we are only in 3/4 of the way through February, but I know that a bunch of us are feeling that energy for March. And March feels like, and it feels like it's even, it's not even like the Truman Show anymore. It's like we're just in a whole other time and place. I can't even put my finger on it yet. I've been making a lot of predictions, but March just feels like they're showing me clairvoyantly right now, like a big red alarm, like a red alarm going off. Have you been getting anything that you feel? I know timing can be so fickle when we get these downloads, but have you been feeling anything, or astrologically, that you feel connected to March that you think will be a part of like the headline or the energy?
Absolutely. So we're in eclipse season now, and eclipses are times where there are big events and changes and whatnot. So there are two things that are happening. On March 14th, we're having a lunar eclipse in the sign of Virgo. And it's the first Virgo eclipse in this season, in this sequence. And it's conjunct the South Node. So there's this kind of draining energy. Virgo is a sign that rules health. It rules accountability, accountants. It rules, like, Virgo energy is the person that you hire to put a system in place, and that analytical brain makes sure everything's clicked in possible correctly and works the way it's supposed to. Now, with the South Node there's a drain on that, which we saw last week, where the nuclear power plant people were fired and then rehired. And they were fired for a certain amount of time. I hope nothing happened to anything while they were gone or whatever. But anyway, it's like not thinking things through and doing something can bring like a real problem. So something really big problems may be surfacing through the month. And especially if these tariffs go through, it's just going to, groceries and everything are going to be more expensive. So people are going to be feeling that. But on March 29th, there's a solar eclipse in Aries. So I think mid-March is about maybe the government shutting down. We're realizing how bad bird flu is. And now there's a measles outbreak. I think that could be something that's going wider and wider. That's red. That's Saturn and Aries, and Saturn and Neptune in Aries, which is coming. Saturn rules the skin, and those red splotches all over your skin, that's Saturn and Aries. So measles is no joke, I would say. And anything else like it that gives you red splotches on your skin, or red eyes, or God forbid, blood coming out of your face anywhere. But yeah. So anyway, that's something like some health news that's could be coming mid-March. And then at the end of March 29th, Aries is a sign of conflict and violence. And I can see there being some kind of an accident. I'm kind of thinking about it on water. I was thinking it may be, it may be some, I'm feeling some kind of attack that could be coming, like a terrorist thing could be coming. And I just feel like there'll be someone scapegoated, and it could be a woman. Yeah, about why it happened, even if it's nothing to do with her fault. But
interesting.
All these people being fired and stuff. There's the people who are supposed to be watching the hen house are distracted. They're stressed. They don't know if they're going to keep their job or not. They're thinking about their bills. They may miss something in the things they're supposed to be watching about that, or keep us safe and keep us from doing things that hurt anyone else.
Yeah. It's a mixed bag.
Mm-hmm.
I showed a visual representation of this is probably about a month ago. People that have been following me may remember, but I held up this little statue thing that has a ball in the middle and all these arrows pointing into it.
Statue of Liberty?
Well, no, it's like this little statue thing that, like a decor piece that I have at home. And Spirit says that is what this is going to feel like, is that it's coming from all different directions, because it's all these arrows that point into one little ball in the center. And that's what this energy of like rest of February, March. I mean, it's like the year that you'll never forget. And I love what
you know what? We're having a Sagittarius last quarter moon. So that gives me the arrow symbology. And it could be something, it could be something that's happening during that last week before the lunar eclipse.
Interesting.
Where Sagittarius has to do with people from a long distance place away or long distance travel. And it looks like an arrow. Sagittarius looks like an arrow. So I thought that that chart right here. Keep going. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Oh, no, you're fine. I was going to just mention this comment because I love it. We've had several people in the comments saying, that they're afraid, or is March going to be terrible? Is this something I should be concerned about? I'm on a fixed income. What should I do? And I love this comment. Pele Flows wrote, please don't worry or focus on fear. Acknowledge your fear and let it run through you. Focus on peace, love, unity, and compassion, because you won't be able to prevent a lot of this stuff from happening. None of us will. And to sit in a frequency, a mindset, a belief of fear, and have that worry just take over your energy in your life, it's not going to do you any good. I mention this all the time, but my brother used to say to me, worrying is like a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, but it doesn't get you anywhere. So I would not be in that active frequency of fear or worry, or a scarcity, or a thought of lack, because whatever that energy is that you're embodying, you will attract into you what it is that you believe. So you'll attract in more things that you're seeing in the world, or things happening around you that feel like that heavy energy. And so be very, very mindful as you move through these times, especially what it is that you're thinking about.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Terry, if you're called to nest, then nest. That is perfect. And I love what you're saying, Dallisa. My mantra this year is let my faith be stronger than my fear. So I think we're going to come through this really difficult time for someone who has a fixed income. Something I would say is maybe like go out and do a little stocking up before the weekend because the tariffs go in place. Like non-perishables, and make sure you have water in your house. Everyone should have water in case there's something where you can't, the tap water's down, or like you can't, for whatever reason, they tell us not to drink tap water or something. So make sure you have some water, make sure you have some perishable stuff in case there's like a week where it's hard to get out to the store for whatever reason, whether it's weather related. A lot of this stuff could just be weather related, or just prices are going up a bit and things like that. So I don't know. I'm really interested to see what happens if the tariffs come off the table when it's realized, the Canada and Mexico aren't backing down. If they go down, and it's just reframed like some big win for the administration. But yeah, I think I love what you're saying. Worry's not getting us anywhere. What can we do to be proactive, to make ourselves feel more grounded, secure, as much as we can be? I mean, this is what life is. We live in this in good times, we live in this assumption that everything's just fine. And we all know things can come out of nowhere. Like life could be perfect and you have a fender bender. So things come out of nowhere. We know this. Focusing on spending your whole life being afraid of a fender bender makes no sense. I mean, even if there is some kind of terrorist attack, what are the chances it's near you or anything like that? Very, very, very slim. So trusting your intuition to guide you. Maybe pull a card every morning. What do I need to know today? If you pull the Tower, maybe you want to stay home. If you can. Oh no, it could just be an internal awakening.
It could be. Yeah. I think at least we can laugh about these things because it's just so wild. Yeah, we have a lot of questions about March that are in the comments, and Celeste puts out a lot of information, and then there's always this live show Tuesdays, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. So plug in, trust your own intuition, and circle up with Celeste and I as often as you can, so that you can see what we're talking about and diving into. I'm feeling like we look at these news headlines.
Okay. Yes. Okay. But let me go. Okay. Before we do that, March 14th, March 29th, and March 30th are big dates. the lunar eclipse, the solar eclipse, and then Neptune moves into Aries. So if you want to like know some of the dates, I just wanted to make sure I got those out there for people too, because that solar eclipse, I wouldn't be around crowds. In fact, with Venus and Aries going retrograde, I kind of stay away from big crowds kind of stuff if you can.
So you said that was the 14th, 29th, and 30th, right?
Those are the big dates with the solar and lunar, then the solar eclipse, big karmic full moon, new moon, and then Neptune goes into Aries. So that 29th, 30th, it could be a mistake, causes a big problem. Or, yeah, never mind. I'll keep that other thing about myself.
Oh, you can't do that. You can't do that. Oh
I was
my
going to say,
gosh.
I've been getting a false flag, like something is done to like the Reichstag fire. That's what I've been getting. So I don't know.
With the what fire?
The Reichstag fire was not in Germany in the 30s. There was a fire at the parliament, and it was used as an excuse. I'm not the best historian about this part. In order to exert state control over the people is how I'm understanding it. Like it was used, it was co-opted, and maybe even there's thoughts that it was started in order to gain like martial law over people or something like that, or more control over people. Like the government could use something as an excuse to take more executive power or something. So
Nothing surprises me anymore. Nothing. Nothing.
Okay. Yeah, maybe not. Maybe that's not it. But maybe it's just
It could be. It could be. Nothing feels like it's off the table. Feels like there's so many things that are going to be happening.
It feels like a mistake, a miscalculation causes a big problem. It could be in the Middle East or here, but it's caused by, someone not paying attention is what I get. Or they could be drunk. It's Neptune. It's Pisces energy. It can be confusion, delusion, intoxication, or spaciness, or worry, anxiety, depression. I mean, all these things could be what causes a problem.
And as you've been sharing your insights, I keep hearing this over and over, so I just need to make mention of it. It feels like with Uranus going into Gemini in July, and then Taurus, Gemini, like it kind of does the back and forth. But then I'm also like all this Pisces energy. So is it fair to say that anything that we have in the mutables, so Gemini, Pisces, Sagittarius, Virgo, if we have that sun, moon, rising, or our sensitive angles in our chart, or planets that may be in those 4 signs, is that where we should be looking to see like what's really going to be activated through all this?
Yeah, that's something to be aware of, what's going on there, because Uranus can bring exciting new beginnings and understandings and feelings of you want freedom from something. Like, yeah. So like if Uranus is coming to your one of your angles, it's good to know which one, because there may be changes coming in this area of your life, and they could be really positive and exciting, or they could be unexpected. So it's just good to know. And it could be all internal. It doesn't mean there's going to be an outside event. So absolutely, yes. And Pisces and Virgo are so the nodes are going to be squaring or conjunct any of those axes. So absolutely, these are places. And the North Node, to be simple, is in your Pisces house, and it's an amplifier. And the South Node's in your Virgo house, and it's like scooping stuff up, but it can feel a little bit like a drain.
Yeah. It's
and
going to be a ride.
Taking care of your health is the most important thing we can be doing. Like I started
Absolutely.
wearing a mask again in the grocery store with this bird flu and other flus and COVID and whatever else. I don't want any of it.
Astro Yoga Woman, Debbie said, Uranus is the unexpected. Gemini flip-flops. Things won't be stable for a while. I think it's July 7th is when Uranus goes into Gemini. I only know that because I'm a Gemini rising, and so I'm sitting here like...
What degree?
23.
Okay, so it's not going to get to your ascendant for a while, but you'll feel it right away. Yeah, because you're so sensitive.
And my moon in Pisces and my sun in Sag. So all the mutables, it'll hit everything.
Yeah, it'll take you a little bit to get used to the end. It takes a while to get used to a new energy. So and the word for Uranus going into Gemini is slow down, because it's going to feel like, because Taurus is like, you're just like walking along a merry road, and then Gemini's like, boom, we're going to feel like, and Gemini is mutable. So it's like lights on, lights off, lights on, lights off. It's like this flickering. The power's on, the Instagram's up, Instagram's down. You know, it's like whatever it's going to be.
Extra prayers for this. Oh man. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh yeah. Thanks for doing this live. I always enjoy hearing from both of you. Oh, Letizia, thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah. So we have 233 people here live.
Coming together out of love for one another. Absolutely. I think one of the best things that may come out of this stuff is that people start realizing it's not us against us. It's the billionaires and all these like people at the top who are like trying to pit us against each other with cultural things or, you know, political things or whatever. But that we're all in this together, and we're all going through, if you're not like uber wealthy, you know, we're all going to be feeling these changes, and maybe hopefully it'll bring us together as we learn we have more in common than we have that separates us.
Absolutely. This will bring us together, I think, like never before. It might feel divisive still for a bit, but I do think there's going to be big enough events that it will bring people together. I've talked about this a little bit in recent time, where it feels to me energetically like the aftermath of 9/11.
I was just going to say 9/11. Absolutely. Where it was so, I mean, it was such a horrible event, but the people of New York City, especially, like came together and really was an example. The whole country came together, but yeah, through that time, really people showed you see your best and your worst. Like the people, I'll never forget that story of someone who carried a woman who was in a wheelchair, like a group of people, down the stairs from one of the World Trade Centers. And people, you know, helping each other, even though, you know, it was a life and death situation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The inner strength that we all have, I think we downplay it sometimes within ourselves as we just go through our daily life or our job or our family. And it's in those moments when everything appears to be falling apart is when you really know your level of strength and resilience. And I've had, I think I actually may have brought this up with you before. I've had people reach out and say, you know, I don't have any extra money and I can't get extra supplies or food or anything on hand. I can barely afford what I'm buying right now for myself. And one thing I keep going back to is I feel like there's going to be more than enough, meaning your neighbor is going to have stuff if you don't have food, water, what you need. So this feels, and maybe I don't know if it's part of that Uranus Gemini energy, but I'm thinking like the local communities. And how are we going to come together in ways that are different or a bit unexpected? that help us get through the darkest of times. But I believe in the power of the human spirit. And if you're one of those folks that's really nervous because you don't have extra things, I believe that you'll be taken care of in one way or another.
Yeah. Some of the most generous people are the ones who have the least. Yes. And like seeing how people come together, like with Hurricane Helene and Hurricane, what was it, Milton last year. And so to me, like I connect all these dots, like Helene, there's so much about like Helen of Troy and Greek. It feels like we're in a Greek mythology story, frankly.
A Greek tragedy?
A Greek
is that
tragedy, and I called the election a Greek tragedy. And Milton wrote Paradise Lost, and here we are. You know, we just had all these fires in LA, which is a beautiful place, like literally the beaches and all of that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's. I don't know why I brought that up, but yeah. But I do think people are coming together. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Definitely. Definitely. Yeah. Let's go through our headlines.
Yes.
And we're just going to talk briefly about each one and how it applies to what the heck is going on. So I'll move my little jar over. If those of you that join late, the way you get a bobble in the jar is if you comment. And then you'll see your little bobble go in there. So in case you missed it at the top end. Okay, so we have the deadly storm in Kentucky. And I've seen little pieces, video footage of this, and it looks horrifying. Is there anything astrologically? Is it maybe North Node Pisces? Is it Neptune North Node? Like, what do you think's coming in with this big storm and all these people dying?
Okay, so Neptune is a planet that rules the ocean, water, and with Neptune, you think about foam, a lot of water, and it's in the sign of Pisces, moving to the end of the sign. It's moving into Aries, March 30th. So the 29th degree, and right now Neptune is at 27, so we got a little ways to go, but as it gets closer and closer, that 20, even 28, 29, it's like it's holding all the energy of Pisces. It's like this sponge that's almost like you're holding it and it's just sopping wet, and we're going to be seeing more and more things about problems with water. So storms like what's happening in Kentucky, where there's just a sudden deluge of water because it's amplified now, because the North Node is an amplifier. The North Node's at 27, Neptune's at 28 right now. So that's like Neptune on steroids. So yes, we're seeing more. We're seeing that in Kentucky. There were the fires in LA led to all this stuff going into the ocean, like toxins from all the building materials. And so now that's poisoning the ocean. We're seeing all this kind of stuff, but it's also related to the physical health stuff, like with the bird flu and the measles and Neptune weakens. It's the planet of dissolution. So when you have a Neptune transit, sometimes that people all of a sudden get allergies, or they're tired and sleeping all the time, or they're just feeling lost and confused. This is that energy of Neptune on the lower road energy. The higher road is people are getting more psychic, and they're feeling the oneness with others, and really getting in touch with your guides and stuff can be what you're feeling with Neptune. But there's that, the Neptune North Node, and the new moon of this cycle with Uranus being stationary. So this whole month is very Uranian, where it feels like things are coming out of nowhere, like a storm, like whatever. And then Saturn in Pisces is coming to meet Neptune. Like Saturn's chasing Neptune, and Saturn brings hardship. and it's in the water sign of Pisces. Hardship with water, on water, all the things. That plane was upside down on snow, frozen water. I mean, yeah. It's earth, wind, and fire, and we're dealing with.
It just reminds me of the songs, Earth, Wind, and Fire, the band.
Yes. And the benefics, the ones that aid in life, are in the signs of their detriment, where they can't do what they do with ease. It's harder. Venus is in Aries. Venus that rules blessings, doesn't like to be there. Jupiter's in Gemini. It's as far away from home as it can be. It's at home in Sagittarius. And so, we're getting information being flooded at us. Gemini's an air sign. We're also getting winds. I think the winds are a big concern. Yeah. Pluto's in Aquarius, an air sign. These unexpected herky-jerky winds are a thing that's going to probably continue.
Next headline we have is ByteDance's new AI creates realistic videos from a single photo. So AI, the increase and elevation of technology, fake technology even in some cases. So where is this Pluto in Aquarius, if I had to take a guess?
Yes, so that's the big picture, is Pluto in Aquarius. Aquarius is technology, and Pluto is this powerful force that has a collective impact. And right when Pluto went into Aquarius was right about when ChatGPT came out. Now, this happened the day before the new moon. When I saw this, my jaw dropped open. I mean, the full moon. So the full moon was in Leo, and Leo rules performers, and it was squaring Uranus, which awakens us to things. And this thing, I think, is the biggest story of this Aquarius season, where they can take a single photo and animate it into a video that looks like the person talking. And it's so scary with what it can do and deceiving people. And is this going to be used as a tool to create fake evidence against people, or, revenge porn, or, all sorts of things can be done with this. It's so scary. And they use celebrities to demonstrate it. So they used Bill Maher talking about Elon Musk. Bill Maher is a talk show host. And this was a while ago, and he was talking about how he's a genius, this, that, and the other thing. And I was like, And then it was Taylor Swift maybe, and some other celebrities. But they look real and too close to real. And in a month, they could look totally real. So, yeah. This is Uranus. Uranus and Pluto in Aquarius is the big story. It's like we're in a new world where technology is the scary side. We're seeing the shadow energies. Pluto brings the shadows to our conscious attention. The shadows of technology. Yeah, Neptune in Aries too. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But Saturn and Neptune in Pisces, it's like you cannot believe your eyes. It's like Saturn and Neptune coming together can bring your dreams, Neptune, to reality, Saturn. But it also could you can't believe what you're seeing. It's a false image appears real. False image Neptune appears real Saturn.
This is just the beginning, folks.
And they're at this point, they're still 9 degrees away, but they're getting closer and closer together.
Yeah, because for those of you that don't know astrology or haven't studied it that closely, the closer that they get together when they're at the same degree, the more that energy amplifies. And somebody did ask a minute ago, well, how do I learn about astrology? So I promised them we would tell them about your class and when we're done with the headline. So we'll share that in a minute. Because Yeah, I've taught like a astrology 101 class, and a bunch of those people too, they're like, I want to learn astrology. I'm like, I know. You could go like decades into learning astrology. It's like this never ending, beautiful craft of, learning the different energies and the planets and the signs. But I think like those of, like we've been talking about Gemini, when I think about Gemini energy, and so if you have Gemini sun rising, maybe you have planets in your Gemini house, I always think of that energy as like would love, and Sag perhaps too, would love astrology and Pisces, because it's like this never ending quest that you're on. And every time you learn like a little bit more, it's like this opening of a present on Christmas morning. And so I don't think not ever learning all of it is something that feels like a roadblock. And I love finality, but I think of it as like a quest. So we're going to talk more about your class here in a little bit.
And it just changes the way you look at the world. Some things make so much more sense about the timing of when they happen. I don't know what I would do without astrology if I didn't have it. Because this time where all of a sudden, like all this upheaval going on, I my little Taurus self would have had too much trouble with it without astrology.
Oh, I know. I love it so much. I call myself an astrology enthusiast. Okay, let's see here. Let's go to the next story.
I want to ask you, what did you get any hits about the bite dance?
Oh, I think it's going to be a sloppy mess. I think it's going to be really, really sloppy. I do think there'll be a technology that we can create that will help solve the problem of the fakes, but it's going to be a work in progress, and it's not going to be like this straight line that gets us to this immediate result that we're looking for. And I think it's also teaching all of us to not take things personally, because I was seeing in the comments a lot of people that were mentioning that kids and teenagers were victims. A lot of them are victims of the fake AI content, especially the ones that are, on the far side of that spectrum, that are very adult oriented. I'll say that. And I would never want someone to have to like tackle that issue of not taking that kind of thing personally. But I do think that if you do find yourself or a family member or a friend in a situation where they are a target, I think it's that time when you can go within and ask, like, how am I going to heal the part of me that is so triggered by this? And it just reminds me of the book, The Four Agreements, and that whole chapter about not taking things personally, because at any given moment of any day, any of us could find ourselves at the mercy of whatever someone would want to say about us online. And right now, there's not a whole lot that we can do about it except say, it isn't me.
Yeah. And people are more likely to believe it's not you, because we know there are all these fakes out there. And Neptune and Aries can be trying to use these fake images in order to attack someone. And and with Venus and Aries, oh, you broke up with me, so I'm going to create this thing and get back at you. Yeah. Or I don't like Susie. And like, it's really, it's going to be, some people are going to have, the people who it happens to first are the ones who are going to potentially, hopefully, be role models for how not to let this, how to handle through strength this kind of thing.
Absolutely. Strength and resilience. Okay, so the next headline is 18 people are dead after a stampede in a New Delhi railway station in India. So this would be large crowd. Stampede is obviously a really heavy energy, probably very unexpected. So So taking a guess here as the amateur astrology enthusiast, but would this be Uranus and Taurus?
Yeah. So at last Sunday, not yesterday or 2 days ago, the Sunday before, the day of the Super Bowl, was as Mercury was coming to square Uranus. So Mercury was in Aquarius. So you can think Aquarius is a sign of groups as well. So people walking in a group, square Uranus. Oh, something startled me. They start running or whatever, and there's this big stampede. So that energy was here through the full moon. The full moon was the sun and the moon were both square Uranus at that time. So the moon rules people in astrology, mundane astrology of worldly events, and that Uranus, something unexpected, causes stress. And we had all these people, yeah, in a train station, a transportation place. Yeah, stampeding.
So sad. So sad.
It is. I can't even imagine what that would be like, just being crushed by a crowd.
Yeah.
Horrible.
And because we had a lot of questions, and maybe you get them too, about, is this just going to be the United States affected by all of these things that are happening with elected officials and changes they're making? Or is this, are things going to be happening all over the world? And I think we can point to these headlines and say it's all over the place.
It's all over the place. It's very personal in the United States because we had last April 8th, that solar eclipse that everybody was going to go see that cut through the United States. That suggests for 4 years there's going to be some, because it was a 4-minute long, I think, eclipse. Yeah, and it was very personal to the United States because it was on our Chiron, the wounded healer, in our 4th house of land, and the rebel party and the opposition party in government. And we were having our Chiron return, this 50-year cycle where we have to deal with some core wounds. And yeah, core wounds around this country are about like race issues and the divide, the sexual divide, all of these kinds of things are really coming up. So yeah, it's very personal to the United States, but the whole world is under the same upheaval in different ways.
Yeah, yeah. Unexpected tragedies. Here is our next headline. Elon Musk, and okay, so I didn't even realize that his son's name was X, because I was getting confused. Like, yeah, I know Elon Musk has X, Twitter.
He's all into the letter X.
And so his son's name is X, and this headline, a screenshot says, Elon Musk's son tells Trump, "You're not the president and you need to go away." There's a rumor, too, that he may have left a little boogie on the desk, too. So
absolutely, he was digging in his nose, and I actually kind of predicted this. I wrote something about, like, it's not the main star who's the revolutionary, like who does the protest or the revolt. It's a member of the band, and then underneath it, I did it on Threads. I said, Leon the Professional. I'm going to watch Leon the Professional, the movie, and it's about a hitman who befriends a little girl. And Trump once called Elon Leon, so I sometimes call him Leon, just so people know. I mean, no reflection on Dallisa. I'm not a fan of either of these two, okay? And I'm snappy with my comments and snarky.
Oh my gosh.
It's like the little kid, like his son, out of the mouths of babe, is telling him, "Where did he hear that? You're not the president. Get out of my dad's chair." He didn't say that, but that's what I took him to be saying. He also told him to shut up.
You gotta love kids. I love kids and what comes out of the mouth, regardless of the situation, because they're always telling you what they think.
It felt like, yeah, that was. I don't know. I can kind of energetically see how that was like, putting him on notice in front of the whole public, who's the real boss.
Is that, I don't know, I kind of think of it as like maybe a lack of boundaries, not picking on the kid and with that statement, but
Oh,
but
no.
like letting it all out. Is that like a Pisces Neptune kind of thing?
Oh, yeah. Well, Jupiter and Gemini out of the mouths and babes.
Ah, okay.
So Jupiter tells the truth, although in Gemini isn't really the truth. And Gemini rules children. And I think these two are heading for a face-off.
I've looked at it a little bit in Sacred
Elon and
Signal.
Trump. Their egos are too big to both be to be co-presidents like it appears they're doing.
Yeah, I've been looking at it in Sacred Signals because I do the weekly stuff I can't say on social media for them. And yeah, they have an interesting dynamic for sure. Oh yeah, so Linda's saying Jupiter can blurt it out.
Yeah.
Woo, don't I know it? Don't I know it? Yeah, I have Mercury in Sag, so it's a lifelong lesson. Okay, let's see what we got. This is.
Oh, well, Ricky says her great grandmother said the Great Depression wasn't all that bad.
Yeah, I saw that.
So people of all backgrounds played together in gardens and community. Well, The Grapes of Wrath is one of the things that I thought about that book this morning that took place during the Great Depression. Thank you, Ricky. I'd like to pass from that, going through that experience. But we are in a Great Depression. So many people are mentally really struggling with all of the upheaval right now. Mm-hmm.
I think you mentioned this story already earlier, but about how the nuclear weapons workers were fired and then brought back. And I think you said you hoped that they didn't do something while the workers were gone. Is that what you were referring to with the story?
Yes, this is the story. Because, I mean, taking an axe rather than a scalpel to an organization in order to improve efficiency is not a very smart or strategic way to do it, in my opinion. And they just have been like going through the government like an axe and firing people. Well, these people are responsible for the security of a nuclear facility where an accident could be catastrophic. And they got fired, and then they realized the mistake. Uranus rules reversals, and they brought them back. So yeah, that was a Uranian thing. And that happened on Friday. So on Thursday, Mercury, which rules our thought processes, with the 29th degree of crisis and decay. And then they were just all going around with their hatchets. And then the next day it moved into Pisces, and the confusion, they were aware of what they did. It was like, oh my God, we got to get these people back. Kind of energy.
So what would be the axe? Like the energy astrologically of an axe?
Oh, Uranus.
So yeah, Uranus and Taurus.
Because it's on Algol, the fixed star, which is the beheading star. So they're beheading all these government employees, and it's the South Node in Virgo. Virgo rules the workers, the people who do the actual work kind of stuff, not the bosses. And it's associated with unions and things. And you can think of, he thinks he's Perseus with this sword, like chopping off all these people's heads. Well, they tried to Frankenstein reattach some of the heads back on. And we don't know what happened. Maybe somebody on their way out the door said, let me flick this or whatever. And another thing that happened is the Doge website was hacked. Okay, if you can't keep your website safe, are we supposed to be okay with you messing around in our Social Security and the Treasury and the nuclear systems and the aviation system and this, that, the other, all the personnel records? What are you doing with their little software stuff? And why are you bringing hackers in to do this rather than accountants?
It's an excellent question. Please, if anyone has an invitation out to Elon to come on Planets and Predictions live.
Yes, we have questions for him. Inquiring minds want to know.
He is welcome to come on and talk to us about it. Yeah. All right, let's see what this next one is. The drone strike. Chernobyl nuclear plant in Ukraine. Russia says not to blame. So this is, at least for U.S., this is an a foreign war that's going on. I get a lot of questions about war, and is war going to kick up a notch? And I do feel like Spirit's showing me right now, it's like a dam, like a water dam that's been held up, but water's been seeping out, and the dam is going to break. So I do feel like there's going to be an increase around more war activity. What do you get, Celeste, when you look at this headline?
I get Pluto. Pluto rules nuclear stuff. Uranus rules unexpected upheaval and accidents, and Uranus, where it is now, on algal, like catastrophic things. And Pluto's in Aquarius, and this happened during Aquarius season, bringing to our conscious attention again all of these dangers around nuclear, having a war around a nuclear facility. We haven't had a war around a place that had nukes for a while. I mean, World War II. So it's really scary. It's concerning, and it feels very reckless to be continuing this conflict. Is pretty scary.
Yeah, there are times when I've had downloads, and I've also heard other people get psychic downloads about nuclear weapons and seeing fire and seeing smoke. And I think, what's interesting, and I encourage, not to keep going back to Sacred Signals, my community, but we have a Discord community, and there's a thread in there where we talk about predictions and we talk about what we're getting, because I've explained it in a way where I'll get XYZ as part of the downloads I'm getting. Celeste will get the other side of it, and then somebody else will get another piece of it. And so I've created the space where we're going in and putting things that we're getting, because I say that I do think that before one of these really big things happens, I think a bunch of us will start feeling it and start getting this sense that something is coming that's not right, that feels very emotionally charged. And so it's another reason why I started these weekly lives. I don't know how many hundreds of comments have been going during our broadcast today, and people are talking to each other and, giving their input. And this is what I feel is really important to this astrology work and psychic work. And it's one thing if we're saying it in an echo chamber, but it's another thing if we're coming here and talking about what it is we're sensing, so that the community can also weigh in on maybe they've been feeling a certain way, or they've been feeling off and they can't put their finger on it, because it'll help us paint a bigger picture, I believe.
Well, the symbology of Mars opposite Pluto is what is somewhat concerning, because Mars attacks, and it's going to go back into the sign of Leo for the third opposition to Pluto, and Pluto's now in Aquarius. The first one was when Pluto was at 29 Capricorn. They were both at 29 degrees. Then Mars went retrograde and came back at the beginning of the year, where we had those terror attacks. And then April 26th is the date that their last opposition. So there could be something related to nuclear stuff. Not that there's going to be a nuclear accident or anything, but there could be, where it brings us to our conscious attention about how dangerous these weapons are. And so
what's the date on that again?
April 26th is when it's exact. Mars opposite Pluto.
April 26th?
Yes.
Okay.
But Mars transits can come in a couple days early. So,
okay. So everybody pay attention. I just dropped that date in the live chat. But that's Mars opposite.
6:05 p.m. on April 26th is when it's exact.
And it's Mars opposite Pluto.
Mars and Leo opposite Pluto and Aquarius. Leo is a fire sign. Aquarius is an air sign. Like, this is igniting energy. This could be a war breaks out somewhere totally unexpectedly. Something like that, or just upheaval, like people are protesting about something. Next thing you know, they're fighting with each other. Like a brawl in a big group of people could be how it shows up, kind of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Woo.
And it's at, let me tell you what the degree is. It's at, they're both at, I think it's 1. It's very early in the sign. So yeah, so that's the kind of, like, I think that could also be like a culmination of a lot of this stuff that's going on.
Hits me in the center of the chest. Yeah. Ooh, yeah. But for sure, we'll be talking more about it. We're going to pull the jar winner here in just a few minutes.
So I wanted to, Glenn asked a question about stock markets.
Oh, okay.
Now, Jupiter is in the sky, is in a square with Saturn. Jupiter is wealth and expansion. Saturn is hardship, contraction. They're in a square. They're the social planets, and they have a 20-year cycle. And it's when they're in a square, there's often like tightening of resources or financial stuff that goes on. So I feel like the market could blow up at any moment. Hopefully it won't. But all of this uncertainty and upheaval is not good for markets. And my concern is with Mars retrograde, people are, because it's in Cancer, an emotional sign, people get like a gut feeling and then do something impulsive. And it starts like this charging towards the door. That could be what happens with Mars opposite Pluto. And because it's in, I think it's in Taurus season, which is it is in Taurus season, which is a sign of money, that people, like, there's a big sell-off or something. So markets are, I would say you might want to think about keeping your resources secure, not doing anything risky with your money during this time, because there could be unexpected upheaval.
Yeah, I've been talking a lot lately about the energy of money and the dollar and the digital system that we're going to be headed into, if my psychic predictions are correct. And yeah, a lot of changes coming. I agree.
The dollar.
You what?
Unpegging from the dollar could be coming. A lot of currencies are pegged to the dollar. Like, it's the standard for valuation. And with everything's going on in the US, on Monday, that was yesterday, Macron called a meeting of all of the heads in Europe to discuss Ukraine, but I bet they're going to be discussing other things, how to deal with the US now that they've abandoned them. That we could get Venus retrograde, could be a real slap in the face, where we find out that people are, because Venus rules money, people are making changes about stuff like that. And that would be really bad problem.
We have folks asking about your class. Yeah. So I want to put it up on the screen. Astrology Foundations 101. So correct me if I'm wrong. I just dropped the link in the comments. So when I looked at it, I'm like, wow, this is really interesting. I think what you're charging is amazing for the 8 parts. So it's 8 parts of really understanding your natal chart, like decoding it. And you get to understand all the pieces of your chart. And the 8 classes are both live and interactive, or you get lifetime access to the replay. But when I read everything, I was like, this is perfect for somebody that's like, I really am intrigued by astrology, but I don't know anything about it or where to start. Would that synopsis be accurate?
Yeah, so it's intended for people who are very new to astrology. You learn with me from the ground up. But also, if you know astrology and want to have a different perspective or deepen, I really specialize in helping you understand what's going on in your daily life based on what's going on in the stars, and helping you with planning and just seeing the whole world in a different way by these energies. With me, everything's got a very practical approach in addition to the spiritual evolution. So yeah, it's an 8-week class. I want to keep it inexpensive as possible so that more people can afford to take it. And I feel like this time now is the best time to be studying, because there's so much retrograde energy, Mars, soon Venus, and then Mercury, where it invites us to go within and learn more about ourselves. And then we're going to see it in action. Neptune's entering Aries, like after 14 years. When a planet enters a new sign, there's going to be things happening that you'll be able to connect to this energy, because now you understand the archetype of what Neptune is. Or then Saturn's changing signs, and Jupiter, then Uranus, all before July. So it's going to be like this boom, 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 where you can you'll have a new language. That's what astrology is. It's the language of self-compassion, but it's a language where you, and that's what I do when I'm writing on threads and stuff. I'm translating the astrology into English, to the transits, to talk about how the story could show up, because based on the archetypal energy. So yeah, you'll learn all about the planets, the signs, the houses, and the aspects, which are the conversations the planets are having with each other. You'll learn so much about yourself and the people around you, as well as the world.
I love it. I love it. Here, I'll drop the link one more time. I have to hit my button again. That way you've got it in there. So if you want to check it out, or if you know somebody that is really interested in learning astrology, share it with them. Encourage them to check out the class. Okay, that's there in your live stream comments.
And I should say it's all live and interactive. So I teach live and interactive. And I like to have fun. And I like to use participants' charts. Oh, look at
that's cool.
Debo. Can you tell me why Debo all of a sudden started sitting on that couch? I know why. Never mind. You're not an animal Are you an animal communicator?
I do a lot of animal communication. Ooh, yeah, all kinds of animals.
Oh, I might have to ask you a question about poor little Debo.
Yeah, send me an email.
I will. Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to put a couple more things up on the screen, and then we're going to pick our jar winner. Those of you that have not taken the psychic quiz, please go over to my website. It's a totally free, fun psychic quiz. You'll find out what your primary psychic gift is. So that's on the homepage there at spiritandspark.com. While you're there, I would also love to encourage you to check out Sacred Signals. I've mentioned it a few times today. I have to give a shout out to my membership community. They are so awesome. There's one person in particular that anytime a new person joins our Discord, they always jump on and wave at them. And I know that doesn't sound like something grandiose, but I think
they're being welcomed.
I know. I'm like, this is so nice. So it's such an awesome group. And this Thursday for in my member Sacred Signal, I do a live Zoom and then they get the replay. I'm going to be looking at the prophecies of Nostradamus and Baba Vanga. And so that's going to be this Thursday. We'll be talking about what they've predicted that's correct. What are they predicting that's coming? So that's in Sacred Signals, which is fun. I think it's trying to blend different information from different sources and tune in psychically and So I have a good time with that. So that's this Thursday. So all my members, a shout out to you. That's what we're going to talk about in Thursday's forecast and the pick a card video. So that'll be a lot of fun. And I don't think I'm missing anything else except for our jar winner. But yeah, folks have been, I love, oh, thanks, Trina. I appreciate it. There's been so many awesome comments. So thank you to everybody who's jumped on. We've had a lot of people here live, and the live chat did not disappoint. And the next live for Planets and Predictions is next Tuesday, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. Celeste, you'll be getting an invitation back, so we'll have to get you back on the calendar so you can come back and do this again.
I would love to.
Yeah, there's all kinds of astrologers that are popping on to do the weekly spot with me, so it's awesome. It's really, really fun.
I have one thing I want to say.
Yeah.
So Samantha doesn't know her birth time. I do chart rectification, which is a technique where we can work together. You give me life events and things, and I can back calculate your birth time potentially. So you can email me at celeste@astrologybyceleste.com if you want to investigate that, and I'll send you information.
Thanks for bringing that up. I have people over the years that have reached out and said, oh, I really, really wanted to see my astrology chart, but I have no idea what time I'm born. And a lot of astrologers don't seem to do chart rectification.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. Celeste is one of the only people I have come across in all these years that does it. So if you really can't get your birth time, but you want to have your chart done, reach out to Celeste. You've got the website on the screen there, astrologybyceleste.com. On socials is Astrology by Celeste on socials as well. Spirit and Spark has all my links to everything, so you can go on there and check it all out. Okay, should we pull our winner?
Yes.
So the winner is going to get a 12-month, I pulled 12 tarot cards. I shuffle them all up with your energy in mind, and I pulled 12 cards, and I send you the report of what the 12 months are and what the corresponding tarot card is. It's a lot of fun. It's not something you can buy from me. I do once a year at the end of the year called Tarot and Treats, but we're in February, folks, so the tarot report is not on sale. So I'm going to pull the winner, and they have until midnight tonight, midnight Pacific time tonight, to email me to claim this. So they had to stay all the way to the end. Okay, so they can email me if they win. Last week, we had it said Lori, Lori. There were two.
Oh.
So they both got it. So,
yeah, Jupiter and Gemini. They're two winners.
So I had fun putting those together. And so hopefully our winner's name this week is a little more specific. Okay, so I feel like we need like some kind of like drum roll. Okay, here we go. Get a winner. CB. So that means that your YouTube name is just the initials, C like Charlie, B like boy. Only the initials CB. So you have until midnight tonight, Pacific time. I'm dropping my email address in the chat right now. You have until midnight to email me and claim it. And we'll get your tarot report put together. So again, one last shout out to Celeste for being here today and sharing all of her astrological wisdom with us. A special shout out to the over 200 and something people we had on here that were commenting and engaging and excited that we were here doing this. And yeah, I'm looking forward to what happens, because I saw it in the comments, and I will echo this. I feel like we incarnated right here, right now for a reason, and we wanted to be a part of everything that's unfolding, the good, the bad, the ugly, and all of us have gifts that we can bring to our neighbors, to our family, to our friends, and this is going to bring us together in ways we never imagined this year, next year, and you know, that road to come. And so, Celeste, before we say goodbye, is there any last final inspirational words you want to give our audience today?
Yeah, this has been so great speaking with you, Dallisa. You have such an amazing audience, such great comments. And I'll just reiterate, let us let our faith be bigger than our fear. There are some difficult things we're going to be going through as a collective that are, once we get on the other side, will, yeah, and even through them will bring us together. So I just think I'm just going to hold the light that despite outside circumstances or what we're seeing, there's like something positive we're really learning, that we're that's what I'm going to keep holding on to. Yeah,
Absolutely.
and that Pluto in Aquarius is meant to power to the people. I'm going with power to the people, even if it looks like there's power over the people right now.
Yes, power to the people. And I also feel we're going to be reinventing so many things and finding incredible cures for diseases that plague us now. And so there's a lot of really amazing things that will happen in these years to come. But in the short term, it's probably going to feel more like your favorite roller coaster at Six Flags. But we're going to get through this, and there is light at the end of the tunnel, and we're going to get there. Yeah. So Celeste, make sure you go visit her and her work, astrologybyceleste.com. Don't forget to check out her 8-part Astrology Foundations 101. And I personally would love to have you in my Sacred Signals community. Such a great group. You can check that out at spiritandspark.com. You can take my psychic quiz, all good stuff. And I will be back next Tuesday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. Celeste is always doing lives and content. So if you're on socials, make sure you follow her. She's basically on everything. So you can find all of it on her website. And I've got everything also in the description of this video. So Celeste, once again, thanks for being here today. We'll see everybody next time.
Thank you for having me. This was so much fun.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day.